Chapter 7005. The long-armed ape was also in a dilemma. Yesterday when it heard the fox's request, it wanted to slap this guy to death. This guy had evil intentions towards sister-in-law, although boss didn't say anything yesterday. But no one could be sure that boss didn't take this to heart. But sister-in-law seemed to have a good relationship with them. Chapter 7014. So it didn't dare to pretend that it studied it for a long time. So today it could only brace almost everything he had learned in his life. Let them come over. However, he still couldn't figure out how to cure this poison. The long-armed ape after his master came back and quickly retreated. She only took his pulse. The imperial wind horse elephant sent the demonic between them was to prepare a lot of food. Looking at Dr. Wu's ashamed looked at the variety of fruits in front of her. Patted him on the shoulder and said, "It was indeed more abundant than outside. It's not your fault. Many of them were things that she had never seen before. I'm not good enough." And every time she ate the fruit, Hongzhuang chuckled. Her spirit energy would be more abundant. I won't comfort you. No wonder your cultivation level rose standard of the upper realm. Yang Lingfeng said, "This is because the upper realm doesn't have this thing. Originally we thought that our cultivation speed outside was already her dark eyes. But we didn't expect you to be only came into contact with it in just 1 year. To the realm of chaotic immortals. Behind. The upper realm didn't have this kind of thing." Handed the golden fruit in the middle to Bailey Hongzhuang. The person who poisoned her came from the realm of chaotic immortals. Looking at the fruit in her hand, or did he get this poison from the realm of chaotic immortals? She had already noticed no matter which one other types of fruits, the whole thing had become complicated. But only this fruit had one. Dr. Wu was given to her by Bewitching. He didn't expect this to be the crux of the problem. Once the fruit entered her mouth, too much about Bailey Hongzhuang if you want a different aura, I'll tell you the abundant energy flowed down her throat. It won't be too late. Into her body. But now, spreading throughout her limbs and the medicine. At that moment, she only felt that her whole body became warm. Dr. Wu didn't dare to delay. An endless amount of energy burst out. It was obviously a very terrifying energy. Bailey Hongzhuang turned around, injected into her body in a very gentle way. It was really too magical. It's not a problem to cure the poison. And the demon summoning the antidote quickly revolved. My father will wake up soon. This kind of energy was not something that could be casually absorbed. The expressions of everyone in the room became relaxed. She had to revolve her cultivation techniques they could to absorb all of this energy. Hongzhuang's medical skills are really good. Noticed that after Bailey Hongzhuang ate a fruit, Bewitching raised his eyebrows and began to call the divine doctor for a reason. They were a little surprised. Your father is praising that Hongzhuang ate the fruit. Look at you, and suddenly had an epiphany. You're even more proud than Hongzhuang. Yang Lingfeng looked at Yang Qingxue with a smile. After everything that had happened recently, divine doctor, he felt that also a kind of ability. You're showing off your love in front of your parents. Yang Qingxue also agreed with this point. His head helplessly. She felt that Hongzhuang and Bewitching were both first-class as their parents. Being able to see them together was undoubtedly the best thing that could happen. Seclusion for 3 whole days. Didn't your brother come back this time? The others came. They only received concern. Since not until 3 days later that they were able to meet. They had seen Bewitching more often than Xiaofeng. It's too scary for you to go into closed-door cultivation all of a sudden. Big brother. And the others have gone to other places to gain experience. What would we do if you suddenly are now in a secret territory outside and cannot meet with them in a short time? Bailey Hongzhuang probably go back. She wasn't able to tell Big Brother if we miss him. She was just absorbing the power of the fruit. Well, until now, was happy. Still didn't know what children already had their own ideas. As expected, she wasn't still miraculous. These kids had a lot of secrets. The amount of energy contained within it was even more shocking. She had never heard of the chaotic immortal realm. It was undoubtedly very difficult for her to touch the barrier of the elementary celestial stage. It was fine as long as they were eaten many fruits in the past year. It was not something that could be achieved in a short period of time. She advised everyone to go back and rest. Since they were poisoned, Chapter 7006, everyone had been tense and hadn't rested. Right, fellow, what's going on with you? Now that she was watching over them, the fox looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a complicated expression. It had previously felt that Bailey Hongzhuang might have been coerced. Chapter 7015. Before this, Bailey had never heard the white fellow mention that she had feelings between her parents. 3 days ago, she wouldn't be at ease until she saw her father wake up. When will your father went into closed-door cultivation? Father has been poisoned for a long time. It simply couldn't believe such an excuse. Although the poison has been removed, maybe the white fellow wanted to take this opportunity to explain the situation to them. Bailey Hongzhuang examined the opportunity to escape. Suddenly, was discovered by this great demon. She thought of an idea. So she was imprisoned until she became obedient. Bailey Hongzhuang then agreed to let them meet and gave a portion to what had happened in the past 3 days. Then she took out some tools. They simply couldn't imagine the fruit into juice. Hence, at this moment, I don't have an appetite. The 3 demonic beasts looked shook her head. She was too preoccupied with Lan Yunxiao's condition to pay attention to these things. Don't be afraid, tell us. Try it. These fruits can help raise your cultivation. Who were filled with righteous indignation. and walked
the
to Lan
corners of his
Yunxiao's
lips
side
curled
to
up.
feed him the juice.
Looks like in the days
his body
when he
was
wasn't
already
around,
very weak.
These
And
three
these
fellows
fruits
had
had the
indeed
effect
treated
of
replenishing
replenishing
it
rather well.
with these fruits.
No,
He would probably
Bailey
wake up
Hongzhuang
faster.
hurriedly waved her
Muling
hand.
Bing looked on in
These
confusion.
three fellows looked as
She
if they
picked
wanted
up one
to
of the
kill
fruits
someone.
and tasted
What
it.
were they trying to do?
She was surprised to
Don't
find
think
that
too
this
much,
fruit
I'm
was so
fine.
miraculous.
Really?
Then
What
happened
happened
to
to
you
you
in the
this?
past 3 days?
It's so effective.
The fox's
In that
face
instant,
was filled with
Muling
disbelief.
Bing looked at the fruits
Mysteriously
in a
going into
different
closed
light.
door cultivation
Originally,
for 3 days.
he thought that they
Who
were
would
just a
believe
few
such
ordinary
words?
fruits.
The white
But
fellow
now,
had interacted
he could tell
with
that
them
they
for
were
years
treasures,
and had
she
never
actually
heard
ate
of such
an
precious
epiphany.
fruit so casually.
Bailey Hongzhuang thought
These
for
are
a moment
fruits
and
that
said
can
in a
help raise
daze,
cultivation.
3 days ago.
As for what they're called,
Bewitching gave me
I'm
a
not
golden
sure.
fruit to eat.
Bailey Hongzhuang
I thought
looked
it was just an
embarrassed.
ordinary fruit.
Fox and the others
But who
always
knew
called
that it
them big
contains
fruits,
so much energy?
small fruits.
Just
Green
absorbing the
fruits and
energy
red
alone
fruits.
took me 3 days.
So she didn't know what kind of
when
fruits
she
they
said
were.
that. Other
You
than
should keep these
debating
for
who
yourself.
remained calm,
Muling Bing
Yang
put the
Ling
fruit
Feng
down.
and his brother.
It would be
and
a
the
waste
three
to
demonic
eat such a
beasts were all
precious fruit
stunned.
just like that.
After such a long time,
Mother, you should
the
eat
matter
them.
wasn't what they
I have
thought
a lot
at all.
of these.
What?
Bailey
You didn't
Hongzhuang's
have an
eyes were
epiphany?
gentle.
No
Bailey
matter what,
Hongzhuang smiled.
a mother would
Who would
always
suddenly
want to
have
leave
an
good
epiphany
things
while
for
eating?
her children.
Yang Ling
There's
Feng
no
scratched
need.
his head.
Muling
That's
Bing waved
true.
her hand.
The fruit
not
you ate was
believing
golden?
him at all.
The fox
Seeing
caught the
this,
main point and
Bailey
asked.
Hongzhuang directly
Bailey
handed a
Hongzhuang
cosmos
nodded.
sack to
That's
Muling
right,
Bing.
it's a golden fruit.
Look,
I'm not
I've never
lying
seen
to
it
you.
before.
Muling Bing
As
looked
she
at
spoke,
it suspiciously.
she subconsciously
When
looked
she
at
saw that it was
Bewitching.
filled to the brim
She
with
remembered
fruits,
that among
she
the
was
fruits
stunned.
that were brought up,
This
where
was
did
the
you get
only
so many
one that
fruits?
looked the most
In
unusual.
her opinion,
the lion
one fruit
swallowed
was
a
already
mouthful
a
of
very
saliva.
rare treasure.
The fruit
How
you're
could
talking about,
Hongzhuang's fruit be
could it be the
considered
Holy
one?
Spirit fruit?
It was as if he had brought
No way,
back the
haha.
entire orchard.
Fox's
Bailey
smile was a little
Hongzhuang
stiff.
smiled.
Rock
You
could
don't
no
have to
longer
worry
control
about
his
that.
expression.
You can eat as
the
many
Holy
fruits
Spirit
as you
fruit is
want.
golden.
Cough,
Although
cough.
I've never
A
eaten
low
it,
cough
I've seen
was
it
heard.
before. Lan
Holy
Yunxiao
Spirit
raised his
fruit?
head
And
Bailey
looked at the mother
Hongzhuang
and
was
daughter
slightly
with a
stunned.
faint smile.
She had
What do you
long
want to
heard of
eat?
the Holy
You're
Spirit
awake?
fruit's great name.
Muling Bing
This
ran
time,
over excitedly.
all the demonic beasts
How
had
long
come
have I
here
been
for the
asleep?
Holy Spirit
Lan
fruit.
Yunxiao smiled
She was
gently.
actually looking
Even
forward to
Hongzhuang
seeing
is
what the
back.
Holy Spirit
It looks
fruit
like I've
looked
been
like.
asleep for a long
It can't
time.
be right. Bailey Hongzhuang dragged her words and raised her
You've
eyes
been
to look at the
unconscious for
calm
several
and
days.
indifferent man beside her.
Fortunately, Hongzhuang
The man
is
nodded
back.
slightly.
Otherwise,
who knows when you'll
everyone
wake
was
up?
dumbfounded.
The fruit that they had racked their brains for was eaten by Hongzhuang. Chapter
As
76.
breakfast
The moment
16.
she arrived,
I'm fine.
it can't be.
Aside from my body being a little stiff,
There's
Chapter
nothing wrong with me.
7007.
Lan
Beichin,
Yunxiao moved
there
and
should
wanted
be a
to sit
limit
up,
to how much you
but
dote on your
Muling
wife.
Bing immediately
We
helped
won't
him
say
up.
anything if
You
you
just
give
woke
such a
up.
precious
You
fruit
should
to
lie down
Hongzhuang.
and rest for a while.
But have you forgotten
I'm
that there
fine
are
now.
still 2 living
Lan
people
Yunxiao
here?
smiled.
It
Yang Ling
wasn't
Feng's
easy for
eyes
your
had
daughter
long
to
turned
come
into
back.
stars.
How can I
Because
just
they
lie
were
down
not
here?
powerful enough.
Father, try this.
Even though they had
Bailey
come to the Holy
Hongzhuang
World,
handed over the fruit.
their real goal was
Your
to
body
find
is a little
Beichin
weak right
and
now.
not the Holy
Eat
Spirit
this fruit,
and you'll
It was
recover
precisely
faster.
because of this
Really?
that they had almost
Lan
forgotten
Yunxiao
about
smiled
this
dotingly
point.
and tasted
However,
the fruit.
how could
His
they forget
expression
that
immediately
was now
became
the
the
big
same
boss
as
of the
Muling
holy
Bing's.
world?
Most
What a miraculous
importantly,
fruit.
such a
With
precious
these
fruit
fruits,
had
your
appeared right in
cultivation
front of
will
their
increase
eyes,
by a lot.
and they had missed it
Bailey
without even
Hongzhuang
taking a
smiled
good
and
look at
regained
it.
her composure.
The fruit was right on the
Father,
table
what
at that
happened
time.
to you before?
You didn't notice
Why were
it.
you poisoned?
After
Yang Ling
eating a
Feng's
few
face
fruits,
was full of
Lan
resentment.
Yunxiao's
I can
complexion looked
guarantee
much
that you
better,
didn't want us
and
to
his
notice
original
it.
weakness
Yang
gradually
Qingxue had
dissipated.
already given up.
I saw Xiao
After
Shao.
all,
You
after
saw
witnessing
Xiao Shao,
Beichin and
Bailey
Hongzhuang's
Hongzhuang's
daily
and Muling Bing were
interactions.
stunned.
This
Their
kind of
eyes
thing was
filled
not
with
strange at
astonishment.
all.
Knowing
Knowing
Beichin's
Beichin's
character,
That's
it would
right.
be strange if he
I
did
saw
not
Xiao
give the
Shao
Holy
before I
Spirit
fainted
fruit to Hongzhuang.
I wanted to catch her,
but I was
now we
poisoned
believe
and fell
you.
unconscious.
The fox's
So,
gaze towards
Xiao Shao
Beichin
was the one
had
who
already
poisoned you.
changed from its initial
should be
beastly
her.
look.
Lan
It knew all
Yunxiao's
too well
expression
how
was
precious the Holy
complicated.
Spirit fruit
We
was.
searched for so
the number
long,
of Holy
but
Spirit
couldn't find
fruits
any
ripened
trace of
every
her.
time was the
We
same,
thought she was hiding
and the
somewhere,
method of
and
distribution
didn't
was the
expect her
same
to
as
appear
before.
at my training
It
ground.
had never been changed.
During this period of
Even
time,
the big boss of
the
the
D
Holy
clan and the
World
Ling
could
clan
only had
have
almost
one
searched
fruit.
the entire upper
It was
realm,
impossible to take
but they
more
still
than
could
that.
not find
Based on the
Xiaosuo's
white
figure.
fellow's power.
Later on,
There was no way
everyone
he could
gradually
compete for
gave
the
up on
Holy
this
Spirit
idea.
fruit.
They even
So,
suspected that
Bewitching
this fellow
had
was
no
given the
longer
one
in
and
the upper
only
realm.
Holy Spirit fruit
However,
to the white fellow.
they didn't expect
and
her
he
to
had done
appear
it
like
in such a
this,
casual
and
manner,
were caught off guard.
as if it was an
Bailey
ordinary
Hongzhuang
fruit
pondered
that
for
was
a
not
moment
worth
before
mentioning.
saying,
If he
"Father,
did not truly like
do you
it,
think you just
who would do
happened to
such a
run into
thing?
her during your
Even
training?
they would not be able
Or
to
did
do
she
such a
purposely
thing.
come to find you?"
Since that's the case,
This,
we can rest
Lan
assured.
Yinxiao frowned.
The fox's
You have to
face
think
was serious,
carefully.
and
This
the
is
enmity
very
in its
important.
heart had disappeared.
Bailey Hongzhuang
No
said
matter how
seriously.
unwilling it was to
Noticing
admit it,
Bailey
it
Hongzhuang's
had to admit
complicated
that this
expression,
fellow was indeed
Lan
very
Yinxiao
compatible
thought
with
for
the
a
white
moment
fellow.
before saying,
I'll leave the white fellow to you. She purposely came to find me. Treat her well in the future. Back then we were in the wilderness. We'll definitely take her away. It's a place with few even people, if you're the boss of the Saints world, for cultivators. We'll find a way to defeat even you. If Xiao So was hiding from us, you won't have the chance. There's no way she would choose that kind of place to live. A smile. Hearing this, thank you for taking care of Hong Zhuang these days. Even more complicated. Young Lingfeng looked at Di Beichen had just brought over the prepared food and was a little surprised. When he saw that Lan Yunxiao had woken up, I didn't expect Beichen to be so calm. Immediately appeared on his face. I thought he would reject the fox after learning of its evil intentions. Lan Yunxiao nodded with a smile. That's called being the first wife. I've made you worry. Yang Qingxue raised her eyebrows and glanced at Yang Lingfeng. Brought the food over. Do you think everyone is like you? I think everyone must be hungry. With less hostility, the atmosphere in the room became much more harmonious. Took the food and scooped some for Lan Yunxiao. Didn't you say that you wanted to come to the Saints' world to look for your elder brother? Have you found him? It's been a long time since I've tasted such hot food. The rock looked at the lion when she was in the mystic realm. The white fellow is now the mistress of the fox and the others found. She can find out who she's looking for just by asking around. That's right. Have you found him? The lion. Chapter 77. Elder brother, is your training that tough? And his starry eyes turned towards the little woman as she asked with concern. I'm your elder brother. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. That's right. We Chapter 7008. We were out adventuring. The situation at that time. Bailey Hongzhuang felt a little guilty. Helplessly. In that situation, you don't know how lucky you are. She had casually made up a lie like this. These fruits were so precious that they didn't even dare to think of using them as food every day. His magnetic voice sounded a little dangerous in Bailey Hongzhuang's ears. While Muling Bing and Lan Yunxiao were talking, Bailey Hongzhuang told Di Beichen she had been tormented for a long time. After hearing this, because the fox had threatened to marry her, became very complicated. At this moment, looking at Beichen's expression, she had already guessed what would happen when they returned. It's very possible. They still couldn't avoid this calamity. Came from the immortal realm of chaos. And the others also came back to their senses. She has already contacted the reason why the white guy was so nervous. This was the reason they came back this time. She was looking for her brother. They wanted to be prepared early, but because she was looking for her partner, this fellow to be faster than them. We actually didn't understand. Can't be sure about this for now. Rock laughed foolishly. Xiao So hasn't appeared in the upper realm who was laughing foolishly. Perhaps she really did go to the immortal realm of chaos. Bailey Hongzhuang have a chaos ring like us and begged for mercy. Logically speaking, I was wrong. If she went to the immortal realm of chaos, it shouldn't be so easy for her Bailey Hongzhuang woke up. There was already afternoon between realms. The man beside her was like a casually enter and absorbed all the essence of life. Thinking about it this way, face was now like an immortal who had descended to the mortal world. But there was a hint of devilish charm to it. It made people want to commit a crime just by looking at him. We'll figure it out one day. The man looked at her sideways. It seems like we have to put our plan on the agenda. The corners of his eyes were full of smiles. Our family must be prepared. You're still smiling. Otherwise, it'll be too dangerous. Glared at the man in annoyance today's matter and turned her head away. Resolved easily. Are you angry? She couldn't help but feel hugged her from behind. And if they didn't come back today, and smooth the consequences would be unimaginable. His eyes were filled with lust, and his voice was also understood Bailey Hongzhuang's worries. I'll take you to take a bath, as far as they were concerned. The next moment, have to worry about this situation for the time being. She had already been lifted up along with the blanket. Once Xiao So made up her mind to attack around the man's neck, it would be troublesome. Were pressed against his chest. Xiao So had long remembered the destruction of the Xiao family in her blink of an eye. As long as there was even in the bedroom was emitting wisps of hot air. Therefore, once she had the ability, this step was imperative, making him feel much more comfortable. When Di Beichen told everyone as a lotus blossomed from the corner of her lips, and the other's delicate face was as dazzling as jade. Xiao So was pregnant with the Qing devil's Bailey Hongzhuang, and the Qing devil noticed the smile on her lips. It was as if countless flowers had bloomed in his face. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly turned her eyes, only to see the hot spring steaming. If he hadn't been protecting Xiao So back then, forehead, there wouldn't be so much trouble now. Across his muscular chest, face was filled with anger into the hot spring. Because of this, he was already very angry. Black hair fluttered behind his head, and entire family was threatened. This immortal-like man there was no need to filled with a charming aura. She stared blankly for a moment until the man's chuckle sounded. We have to take precautions now. It seems that my wife likes it very much. Di Beichen's face darkened. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly impossible startled to say that he didn't resent She quickly looked away. However, but her heart was beating in different positions. They were clearly husband and wife. The most important thing now was to deal with all of this. Saw him, didn't you say that there's a limit to cultivation? How? Even if they really come, the next moment, we still have the power to resist. She had already fallen into the man's embrace. At the same time, she also felt the heat. Chapter 70.
Bewitching hugged her with
It's
both
true that our
hands
family's
and
power
planted
has
a kiss
improved
on her
tremendously
lips.
compared
He
to
gently
before.
hugged her and said in a
However,
hoarse voice,
I'm sure they've thought
"My
of
wife,
the same problem
if you
that
tempt
we've
your
thought
husband
of.
again,
If you don't
your
stop
husband
them,
won't be able
the
to
rest of
control
the family
himself.
won't be able to
When
defend
did I?"
themselves.
Bailey Hongzhuang's
Bewitching's expression
red.
was solemn
She clearly
and
didn't
serious.
do anything.
They couldn't
It
be
was
sure
this
how
fellow
many
who was
people the
tempting
other
her,
party
all right.
would send.
Moreover,
If their
Chapter
cultivation levels were
7009.
restricted to a
On this
certain
day,
range,
their
Bewitching
combat
accompanied
power
Bailey
would be
Hongzhuang
different
for
from their
breakfast
own
in the morning.
cultivation levels.
Before taking
Most
her out to tour
importantly,
the holy
they had
world.
to protect the
The
entire
holy world
family.
is not small.
Di Linxian fell
Let's go there
silent
and
when
have
he
a
heard
look
this.
today.
The D family was a big
appointed
family.
ahead.
Although the
scenery
younger
there is not
generation
bad.
of cultivators
I believe
had
you'll
shown
like
great
it.
potential,
Bailey
they
Hongzhuang
wouldn't be
nodded
able
with
to
a
grow
smile.
without a certain
When she
amount
first
of time.
arrived in the holy
Those who
world,
had nothing to lose
she had
were
already
not
been
afraid
won
of those
over
who
by
wore
the scenery
shoes.
there.
Now that
In terms
Xiao
of the
Zhou
beautiful
and the others
scenery
had
she
nothing
had
to
seen,
lose, this
the
place was the
Di
most
Linxian and
magical.
Di Linxian
Where
were the ones who had
nothing
nothing to lose.
The two of them
Bewitching,
have
what
been
do you
with the
plan to do?
Imperial Wind Horse
Bewitching
Elephant
had
and
unknowingly
the
become
others
the
for the
backbone
past
of
few
the D
days.
family.
It seems
My
that
race
Fox
skills have
and the
improved
others are with them
tremendously.
too.
It has only been a few
Hongzhuang
days,
and I will
and they
strengthen
are
the
already
family's
very
defensive
familiar with
array.
this place.
Bewitching
You don't have
turned
to
to look
worry.
at Bailey Hongzhuang.
Then their speed is quite
the latter
fast.
nodded. Bailey
Apart from
Hongzhuang's
that,
side, the Lin
she had been
family
with
and
Di
Bailey
Bewitching
family
for the
defensive
past few
arrays
days.
need to be
Aside
strengthened
from
as
the
well.
vicinity of his sleeping
Everyone
quarters,
nodded.
the
They had
family's
not gone
defensive
anywhere
array
else.
had been built long
This
ago.
was the first time she
However,
had realized
it
that
had
this
never
guy
been
had the
activated
potential to
since
be
it
a
was
virtuous
built.
ruler.
With the D family's
right.
current status
Now
in
that
the
we
upper
have
realm,
finally reunited,
nobody dared
what
to
are your
provoke
plans?
them. However,
Bailey Hongzhuang
they were
asked.
still confident
Previously,
in Bewitching's array skills.
there had been a problem
in the
during
past
the
2
teleportation,
years. Bewitching must
and they
have
had all
improved
been
tremendously.
separated.
Therefore,
Therefore,
in the
something
past
else.
year,
Bailey
everyone had
Hongzhuang
been
smiled
thinking
and
about
looked
how
at
Xiao He
reunite.
and Xiao Bai.
Now that this
Xiao He
problem
couldn't
had been
help but
solved,
shrink her neck
they should
when
think
she
about
saw her
what
master's
to do
gaze.
next.
Master,
This place is
what
good
are you
for
planning to
increasing
do?
our strength.
We'll leave Xiao
I think
He
we should
and Xiao Bai
cultivate
here
here for a
during this
while.
period of time.
What do you think?
It'll be safer
think
for
so
them.
too.
Xiao He
Bailey
and Xiao Bai
Hongzhuang
were both
smiled
stunned.
brightly.
They did not
Ever
expect
since I
their
consumed
master
the
to
Holy
make such a
Spirit
decision.
I
Di
feel that my
Bewitching had only
strength has
just heard
increased
about
quite a bit.
Hongzhuang's decision.
However,
But after
I'm
thinking
still some
about
distance
it
away
was
from
indeed a good
breaking
choice.
through to the
Xiao
elementary
He and
immortal
Xiao
stage.
Bai had already
Feeling
reached
the
the radiant
radiance
sun
to breaking
realm.
through was one
Normally,
thing.
one
In
would
order
not be
to
able
truly
to
break
sense it.
through,
But
she
in
would
reality,
still need to put in some
these
effort.
two little fellows were
The
not
Holy
weak.
Spirit fruit
So,
has
Master,
a great effect
are
on
you selling us
increasing
out
one's
right away?
strength. Xiao
However,
He said
it is not
resentfully.
something that can
Bailey
be absorbed in
Hongzhuang
one
smiled
go.
faintly.
Although you have
If the
absorbed
two of you
quite a
stay
lot
here,
during your 3
you'll
days
have a lot of
closed-door
delicious food
cultivation
every day.
There is
Father
still a
and
lot
mother
of
won't treat
medicinal
you
power
badly.
in your body.
Lin
that
Yinxing
needs
also
to be
knew that
absorbed
these
slowly.
two cute little
Some of
dumplings
it
were
will even
gluttons.
remain in your
She
body,
immediately smiled
even
and
after you
said,
break through to
when
the
the time
elementary
comes,
immortal
I'll prepare
stage.
whatever you want
Once
to
you
eat.
have completely
The
refined
eyes
it,
of the two
your
fellows,
strength will
who were
also
originally
improve
full of
greatly.
resentment,
I see.
lit up when
Bailey
they heard this.
Hongzhuang suddenly
They
understood.
said excitedly,
She was no
okay.
stranger to such situations.
These two fellows were so
Some
easily
miraculous
bribed.
treasures of heaven and earth would have such an effect. Because
Here
if
are the
one were
fruits
to
we
absorb
brought.
it all at once,
They can help raise
not
your
to mention
cultivation
whether
and
one's
strengthen
body
your
could
body.
withstand so much
Bailey
power.
Hongzhuang
It would
handed
also
over
be
her
very
Qingquan pouch,
disadvantageous to
their
one's
greatest
cultivation
harvest
base.
from the mystic
This
realm
was
this
because
time
the
was
foundation
none other
of
than
one's
these fruits.
cultivation would be
With these
unstable.
fruits,
If
father
one
and
relied
mother
entirely
should be able
on
to break
external
through
energy,
to the radiant sun
this
realm.
method would
Lan
undoubtedly be
Yinxiao and
much
Xiao
better.
He had already seen how amazing
With the help
these
of
fruits
external
were.
objects and his own cultivation,
and the rest were originally
his strength
unaware.
would steadily increase.
When they casually took
You
one
don't have
and
to be
tasted it,
anxious.
everyone was
Breaking through
dumbstruck.
to the elementary immortal stage isn't an easy task. Breaking through too quickly might not be a
Chapter
good thing.
7019.
Di Bewitching
The
held on to
entire Di
Bailey
family could be
Hongzhuang's
said to
hand
be
as
a
they
big
walked
family.
forward.
However,
if he hadn't obtained
since
the
the
inheritance
appearance
from
of
the
these two
tablet,
little guys,
he wouldn't have been
not
able
only
to
did the
break
family
through
not
in
help
such a
them,
short time,
but they had also
Qing
been
Devil has
relying on their
returned to
help.
the immortal realm.
In fact, their
We will
feelings
meet
were
him
very
sooner or
complicated.
later.
On
This
one
guy
hand,
might not
they were
be able
proud
to
of their
take care of
achievements
us in the short term.
On the other hand,
But it's only a
they
matter
felt
of
a little
time.
guilty
The more
because
our
they couldn't help
cultivation
at all.
improves,
The more
Grandfather,
we'll be able to
when you go to the chaotic immortal realms. This situation will no longer exist. You're right. Bewitching walked to stayed in the realm of chaos. This is actually not a big deal. They still had to be careful of the possibility of being discovered. Slightly. However, he couldn't tell whether these two little guys were telling the truth or not. Perhaps the chaotic immortal realm, chapter was really full of heavenly materials. Let's go back in 2 days. Earthly treasures. We have to tell Father and the others more in these two little guys' so that they can be mentally prepared. In the next few days, had a complicated look on his face, and it had been 1 year not since only strengthened the defensive arrays of the three families, although this guy had also set up a stronger defensive array. Believed that the Dark Devil was very unlikely to be killed by him, and when he got rid of all the troubles around him, they were undoubtedly very surprised. Think of them. Since
when
the
that time
establishment
came,
of the dark
Qing
sacred
Devil
assembly,
would not think of coming to the
entire
immortal realm
organization
to
had
look for
become
them.
more and more
He
powerful.
would definitely think of
However,
going back to the
many
immortal
members
realm.
were looking forward
Therefore,
to the day
they
when
had
they
to
could
let
meet
their families
Bewitching,
know about this,
the legendary
so that
president.
they could take precautions.
However, their president
Yes,
was really elusive.
Bailey Hongzhuang's
It was
face
as
darkened
difficult
slightly.
as ascending to the
Fortunately,
heavens to see him.
even the cultivators
vice
in the
president
immortal
found
realm
it very
would be
difficult to
affected
meet
by the
him.
restriction
Therefore,
in the
when
immortal
Bewitching
realm,
appeared,
when they go
it
to the
caused a
immortal realm,
sensation.
the
After
strongest
the
cultivators
cultivator
would
would
only
only
be
be
in the
Cloud
City
City
heard
heard
the
the
realm.
news.
They
Without
all
such
ran to the
restriction,
headquarters of the
it would
dark
be a piece
sacred
of
assembly
cake for Qing Devil
to see
to
their
destroy
president's
the
heavenly
family.
appearance.
That's also
You're
our
right.
greatest reliance.
President D is the most
Bewitching's
handsome
eyes
man in the
darkened.
world. However,
I
although
can't
his
take it
realm is
anymore.
suppressed,
He will
his
be my
strength
dream
is still
lover
very
from now
strong.
on. Stop
This feeling
dreaming.
was similar
Look
to
at
an
how
adult
charming
who
the
could only
saintess
use
of the
the
light
strength
is.
of a child
With your looks,
but the child
President
still
D won't
could not
like you
defeat
even
the
if he is
adult.
blind.
They had to take
The voice
precautions
of
in
reason
advance.
shattered the dreams
I
of
wonder
these
where
young
Xiao
girls.
So is now.
Suddenly,
This figure
the sound
appeared
of
in
hearts
Bailey
breaking could
Hongzhuang's
be
mind
heard.
again.
Huang
The D
Futing
family's
and
land
the
of
others looked
inheritance
around
was
with a
really
faint
amazing.
smile.
She
Such
felt
a
that it was very
situation had
important
long
to
been
Bewitching.
within their expectations.
Unfortunately, the key
Don't
was in
tell me
Xiao
you're
So's
planning to
hands.
stay for another 2
Therefore,
days.
they had to find
Huang
Xiao
Futing
So.
looked at the two
Otherwise,
of them in
they
confusion.
could not open the
In his
gate of the land
impression,
of inheritance.
these two fellows had
Qing
been
Devil
elusive
has appeared.
ever since the
She
dark
will
sacred
definitely
assembly
appear.
was established.
Bewitching looked
Even
certain.
if they did appear,
Bewitching and
they would not be
Bewitching's
able
heart
to
sank.
find them again.
Qing Devil
This
was
time,
undoubtedly
the
their
two of them
biggest
didn't
enemy.
do anything
This
after
guy
returning.
had been a master
They
in the
just
immortal realm
reinforced
for
the
many
defensive
years.
array of the
Although
dark
his
sacred
strength had
assembly.
weakened a bit now,
It was indeed
he
a
was
little
still
strange.
not someone they could deal with.
That's indeed our
There
plan.
was not much time left.
Bewitching nodded.
They could only take advantage
Huang
of this
Futing
time
was
to
stunned.
improve their cultivation.
Aren't you guys a little too busy?
Hoping that they would be
If I
able to
wasn't
withstand
busy,
all of
how
this
could my
when the time
cultivation
came.
have improved
Without
so
a
much?
doubt, the
Bewitching
environment of
punched
the
Huang
saint's world
Futing's
was
chest.
very beautiful.
Your cultivation
There were
has
all
fallen
sorts of
behind a
sceneries
lot.
along the way. And the beauty of all 4
Huang
seasons
Futing
was
looked at
presented here.
Bewitching seriously.
Everything that
The
seemed
last time they
impossible
met,
in the past
he already
seemed
felt
possible
that
here.
Bewitching's aura
When
was
all the
very
demonic
strong,
beasts saw
much
Bewitching,
stronger than his.
they all saluted
this
in
time
unison
when they met again,
showing respect
he only
from the
felt
bottom
that
of their hearts.
Bewitching's aura had
Only
become
then did
ethereal
Bailey
and
Hongzhuang
vast.
realize that
It
the
seemed
holy
that he
world
couldn't
was
even
actually
feel the
so
difference.
big. And
If
the number of
Bewitching
demonic
hadn't
beasts
mentioned this,
inside
he
was
wouldn't
also
have
not
noticed it at
small.
all.
Although it couldn't be compared to the outside world, it wasn't a small amount. Regarding
Chapter
the 3 monster
70-20,
beasts wished to
Huang
stay in the
Futing
holy
widened his
world,
eyes,
and
and
quickly
quickly
turned
did
to
not
look at
hesitate
Bailey
to agree.
Hongzhuang. This
He
kind of
sensed that
thing was
Bailey
just a small
Hongzhuang's
matter.
aura
Was also very strong. He
However,
just casually
it
told the
wasn't to the
long-armed
extent
ape,
that he
and the
couldn't
matter
sense
was
it at all
resolved.
like Bewitching.
The holy spirit
Even
fruits
so,
would ripen
he
in a
deeply
few
felt
days.
the difference in
At that
strength
time,
between himself
the demonic
and
beasts
Hongzhuang.
would also have
Are
a
the two of you
competition.
demons?
Only the demonic beasts
Every
with
time we
outstanding
meet,
performance
your
would have a
strength
chance
increases
to
so
obtain
much.
the holy spirit
Isn't this
fruits.
a little too exaggerated?
Yang Lingfeng originally
Huang
hoped
Futing
to
was
go through the
speechless.
back door.
Didn't they
taste the
say that
holy
it's
spirit
very
fruits.
difficult to increase
However,
one's cultivation
after
at the
knowing
later
that each
stages?
holy spirit fruit
Why doesn't this
had its
situation
own
appear on the
specific
two of you?
distribution method?
This doesn't make
He
sense at
completely
all.
gave up on
He
this
had
idea.
never written about his
Therefore,
cultivation.
he decided
Due to
to
the increase
participate
in
in
his
the
strength,
competition
the
between
people
the
around
demonic
him often
beasts.
admired him.
Even if the
However,
odds of winning
in
were
front
not
of these
high,
two perverts,
he did not
he was
mind
completely
giving it a
useless.
try since his life
Bailey
was not in
Hongzhuang chuckled.
danger. Moreover,
It's not as exaggerated
this would be a
as you
great
say.
help to improve
We
his
can only
strength.
focus on our
There was no
cultivation,
doubt that it couldn't
because
be better.
you're
helping to watch over the sacred assembly. Huang
Chapter
Futing's lips
70-11.
twitched. You're
Is this
saying that
considered
Bewitching only
comforting?
has one holy
It is.
spirit fruit? Bailey
Bailey
Hongzhuang
Hongzhuang
looked at young
Don't
Qingxue
compare
in
yourself to
astonishment.
them.
This was
These two
the
fellows
first
are
time she had
perverts.
heard of this news.
Back then, my
You didn't
cultivation
know?
was much higher
Young
than theirs.
Qingxue was stunned
In
at
the blink
first,
of an eye,
then looked
my
envious.
cultivation has been left
Hongzhuang,
far behind.
I'm so envious
Ao
of you.
Lingxiao walked
Beijing
over from
treats you
behind.
so well.
I rushed
She had
over
thought
as
that
soon as I
Hongzhuang
heard
had
the
already
news of
known
your
about
return.
this.
How is
She
it?
did not expect
Aren't I a
that
good
Beijing
friend?
had not even
He must have
mentioned it
told
until
you.
now.
Bailey
Bailey
Hongzhuang's
Hongzhuang
lips curled
finally
up.
recovered from
The
her
good
shock.
news they heard when
Her
they
heart
returned
softened.
this time
He's
was
always
that
treated
Yi and
me
Ling
very
Xiao
well.
were together.
Qingli treats
had
you
already
very well
noticed
too.
this back then.
However,
He's such a
Yi
blockhead.
needed some time
trying to break free from her unrequited love. He didn't even come along when I came out for training. I don't know what I like about him either. To accompany her, Bailey slowly forget everything. But you still like him. This proves that there's something about him that's worthy of your liking. It's so difficult to meet you normally. Fortunately, you don't have to comfort me this time. By the time you return, it's really not easy. Maybe he'll have come to his senses. Let's have a good drink today. Smiled. Ao Lingxiao stepped forward is pretty good and put his hands on Huang Futing's and Di Beichen's shoulders. He doesn't pay attention to any other woman. Before the sacred assembly was established, Yang Qingxue was a little together every day. That's the only good thing about him. Now that everything has been settled. Oh right, it's difficult to get together. Participating in the competition in 2 days' time? Tell us what you've been up to. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. As soon as these words were spoken, participating. Huang Futing also everyone must have known by now that she had consumed the Holy Spirit fruit. If these 2 people had been in seclusion at home all this time, they would not believe it even if they were beaten to death. Furthermore, with her current status, even more powerful plane, everyone would have mixed feelings during the competition. As they looked, it would be better if she did not participate. Yang Qingxue did not find this strange. Help but glance at each other. Your boss woman now. For a moment, how can you participate? They were unable to figure out if he was deliberately. Why have you called me here today, or if he was being serious? Beichen and I are preparing to go into closed-door cultivation for a few days. Is what he said true? I'm just letting you know that you won't be able to find us for a few days. Damn. Hearing this, Yang Qingxue smiled and said, I understand. Couldn't help but complain. Don't worry. We will follow the Imperial Wind Horse Elephant and the others. Huang Futing was even more curious about this point. Hongzhuang nodded. You'll need to cultivate well. She and Beichen planned to make a trip back to the clan. At the same time, grasp the method. They had to make some subordinates. If the Qing Devil really returned to the upper world, they had to be prepared. Chapter 7021. It was not easy for the family to find them sympathetically. If they did not arrive in time, it's not easy to make a breakthrough. Things would become very troublesome. Cultivation level. After explaining everything, don't compare yourself with these two guys. And Yi Xi returned to the upper realm. And when the members of the D family saw the two of them return, from this point of view, they were all pleasantly surprised. You're right. Young Master Yurba raised his wine glass. Everyone is looking forward to your return. Fortunately, you're here with me. Young madam, let's have a drink. Go and see your father. It's great that you're back. Couldn't help but laugh. What happened to my father? Unlike the situation in the chaotic immortal realm, elder anxiously. The atmosphere here was much more relaxed. Master Lan was injured when he went out for training. Something must have happened for you to come back this time. Although everyone has done their best, he had been with D. Beichen still haven't found an effective way to treat him. So he could tell something was wrong. Now everyone is trying to think of a solution. Even though Beichen's expression was relaxed, he could father and daughter are truly unusual solemnity in his eyes. Quickly go and see him. If it was for no reason, Hongzhuang did not care about anything else. Personalities, she sped up and flew over. Wouldn't have come here at all. Given her father's current level of power, the Qing Devil has come out. It was indeed very dangerous for him. That one sentence scared Ao Lingxiao so much that he dropped the food he had just picked up. What did you say? Chapter 70. Wasn't the Qing Devil imprisoned in the ancient battlefield? As fast as she could. How did he come out? With D. Beichen. Although I don't know how he came out, I'm sure he did come out. Mu Lingbing's face was full of anxiety. Wang Futing even suddenly Dr. Wu was at his wit's end. No wonder you strengthened the defensive formation. Was getting worse. Is it to prevent him from taking revenge? Should we think of a way to find Hongzhuang? With this guy's strength, was also very worried. Once he comes here, now that even there's a defensive formation, solve the problem, it will be useless against us. There was no one aware of how terrifying Azure Fiend was back then. Dr. Wu. Is there really no other way? Limit on strength. Di Yujue looked at Dr. Wu and asked his cultivation level won't be much higher. Helplessly shook his head. So the defensive formation is one of the poisons I've come into contact with. Now we can only be sure that he has appeared I've never come into contact with before. However, we can't be sure when he will come back to the upper realm. But with Lord Lan's already come to the upper realm, I'm afraid he won't be wary of now is Xiao Sou. Most importantly, she has appeared once before in Poison of my father. Even if I'm given a certain amount of time. What? I can't guarantee that I'll be able to create an antidote. We've been looking for Xiao Sou for so long without he lowered his head. She actually appeared on her master had returned. That's right. He had specially instructed him on his medical upper realm and told him to take good care that she went to the previous plane. But now, as for whether she has contacted Qing Devil or not, and he had no way to solve it, we can't be sure yet. Hearing this, Di Yujue and the rest's heart darkened. This was simply a childish Qing Devil. Hongzhuang was their only hope. Even if Qing Devil has no feelings for her, Beichen and Hongzhuang won't her for the sake of the child. But in another plane, Huang Futing there was no way to contact the two planes. This was definitely not good news for them. Back then, Jun Lingxuan was so unhappy. Now that he was finally dead, quickly return. I thought I would never have to see his face again. The door was suddenly pushed open, who would have thought that the Qing Devil would appear again? What an ill-fated relationship. Hearing this familiar voice, said everyone in the room was startled. Then they saw that familiar figure. We will appear frequently during this period of time. You should be more careful. At the figure in front of her in astonishment. Inform us immediately. She wondered if she had been too obsessed and looked at the two with a serious expression. They were both good friends, and he really didn't want them to be implicated. I heard that father had been poisoned the moment I got back. Don't worry, we know what to do. What's going on? Then, do you have any news about Xiao Sou in front of her? Mu Lingbing was finally sure that she wasn't hallucinating. Instantly, she felt more energized, and her initial worries dissipated. This matter is indeed difficult to handle. Mu Lingbing tugged at her hand and led her inside. He originally thought that everything was going well with your father, and the sacred assembly was developing well. I'm afraid his body won't be able to take it. There were so many undercurrents under the calm surface. Entered the room. Don't worry too much. Lying on the bed. Just be careful. His face was pale, and comforted him. And there was a trace of purple on his lips. He vaguely had a feeling that maybe Xiao Sou and Qing Devil hadn't met yet. Wenfeng saw Bailey Hongzhuang, Qing Devil really sent people to deal with them. He felt as if he had seen his face. Then Xiao Sou, I'm useless, didn't have to go through so much trouble. Waved her hand. As long as Qing Devil's people made a move, they wouldn't
She
be
began
able
to
to
take
fight
Lan
back at
Yunxia's
all.
pulse.
Bailey
On the
Hongzhuang
other
and
side,
Bewitching also came to the
realm
Yujua's side
until they had explained the
handsome
family
face
matters.
solemn and serious.
Today should be the day
What's
of the
going
monster
on?
competition.
Bailey Hongzhuang
Yujue
smiled
heaved
slightly.
a sigh of relief
In
when
fact,
he saw them return
today's
and
competition didn't have
"Earlier,
much to do
your
with them.
father-in-law
The
and
judges were
mother-in-law
already
went out to train
prepared
together,
and everything else was
Originally,
done according
there
to the
shouldn't have been
usual
any
rules.
problems.
The reason
But at
why
a
they
certain
showed up
place
today
in the
was
forest,
just for fun.
they separated for a
expected.
moment.
When they opened the door, the long-armed ape and the others were already
Chapter
waiting
7013.
outside. Boss,
In
you're
that
finally
case,
out.
no one
We
knows what
thought you wouldn't
happened,
be able to
and
make
no
it
one
in
knows
time
how father was
for today's
poisoned.
competition.
Yujue nodded.
The long-armed
That's
ape
right.
heaved a sigh of
This
relief.
matter is still a
and his
mystery
whole body
even now.
seemed to be more
Could
relaxed.
it be that someone did it
Wasn't
with
this
malicious
matter
intent?
already prepared long ago?
Bewitching furrowed his
Why
brows.
are you in such a hurry?
This matter had happened
Bewitching
too
said
suddenly.
casually.
Perhaps
That's
he was
true, but you're our
accidentally
boss.
poisoned.
Of course,
Or perhaps
you
someone
have to be
deliberately
present
did it.
on such an
He
important
vaguely
occasion.
felt that the latter was
Yang
more likely.
Qingxue and Yang
Lan
Qingfeng
Yunxiao
were
had
happy
rich
to see them
experience
out.
these years.
I knew that you would
So he shouldn't
definitely
be
come
like
out
this
on
when
such
he went
an
out to
important
train.
day.
Moreover,
Unfortunately,
Lan
no matter
Yunxiao's
what we
strength
said,
wasn't weak
these
when they
two
came
guys
back
were as
last
anxious
time.
as ants on a
So
hot
it shouldn't
pan.
be too dangerous
Yang
for
Lingfeng
him to go
spread
out
out
to
his
train.
hands.
We
And a
can't
trace
rule
of
out this
helplessness
possibility.
appeared on his face.
Yu Linfeng pondered and
Bewitching
said,
looked at the imperial
"When we
wind horse
arrived,
elephant.
I noticed other
Are you
people's
ready to start
footprints on the
now?
ground.
Everything is
However,
ready.
when I chased
We're just
after
waiting
them,
for you, boss.
there was nothing
All
left.
right.
Other than the
Bewitching nodded
footprints,
slightly and
there were
walked
no other
forward.
traces.
The imperial wind
Then why
horse
didn't
elephant
the other party
and the
directly
long-armed
kill him,
ape immediately
but chose
followed.
to poison him
After
instead?
walking for a distance,
Yujua's
they
expression
saw the
was
participating
grave.
demonic
If someone
beasts.
was deliberately
Fox
targeting
and the
them,
others waved
then they had to
excitedly
be
at
more
Bailey
careful.
Hongzhuang when
If
they
they
saw
didn't
her.
succeed this time,
We're here.
the other
Bailey
party would
Hongzhuang
inevitably
responded
make
by
another
waving
move.
her hand.
Perhaps
Only
it
then
was
did the
because
three
we
fellows
arrived
reveal
quickly,
joyful
so
smiles.
the other party
The
didn't have
surrounding
time to do
demonic
anything
beasts
else.
could only look
It could
at them
also be
enviously.
because his
Who would have
cultivation
thought
isn't
that
as
the
good
wife
as
of a
Yun
big
Zhao's,
shot from the Holy
so he
Realm
could only
would be
use
with
this
them in the
method.
outside
Yu
world?
Linfeng replied.
The fox and the others
This person
had
picked up
picked
such a
simply
good
too
opportunity
despicable.
in vain.
No matter how
Wu's
much
face
they
was filled
regretted
with
it
anger.
now, it was too
He
late.
didn't dare to confront
Looking
us
at the group
directly,
of demonic beasts
so he
in
used
front
such
of
a
him.
sinister method.
Bewitching directly
Simply
said,
hateful.
"Let's
Being a
begin."
physician, we
After
couldn't
hearing
cure
this
this poison.
all the demonic
So the other
beasts
party must
immediately
have made
became
sufficient
spirited
preparations
and looked at their
If that's the
competitors
case,
with confidence.
then there's something very strange. Bewitching's
As
brows
long as they
tightly
could
knitted
perform
as he fell into
outstandingly
deep thought.
today. Once
What's
they
strange?
obtained the Holy Spirit
Yujue
fruit,
asked.
their strength
Father
would
has
increase
always
by a
stayed
lot.
in our family.
Of course,
so
to
logically
them,
speaking,
the Holy Spirit
there shouldn't
fruit
be many
wasn't the
people
most
who know
important
him.
thing.
If they only
Instead,
treated him
it was
as
the
an
honor of
ordinary
obtaining the
cultivator,
Holy Spirit
then
fruit,
it would be too
and even the
strange for them
chance
to
to stay in the
deliberately
Holy
target
Realm.
him like this.
Yang Qingxue
But if they were
and Yang
targeting our
Lingfeng
family,
quickly joined the group.
they should think of a
and
way
began
to
the
deal
first
with you.
round of the
Why
examination.
did they choose my father-in-law? As Bewitching pondered, an idea appeared in his mind. You're right.
Chapter
Since the other party
7023
spent so much effort
is there
to
only
deal with
one
Yan
round in
Xiao,
this assessment?
they should have a grudge
Bailey
against him.
Hongzhuang asked.
However, we've
There
been
are
in
three
the upper
rounds in
realm
total.
for so long,
The
and
final
don't usually
score
have
will
any
be enemies.
calculated based
Yu
on the total
Linfeng
score.
immediately understood
The
the meaning
imperial
of
wind horse
Bewitching's
elephant
words.
explained with
They
a
did
smile.
not have many enemies.
Bailey Hongzhuang nodded
So if they
slightly.
thought about it carefully,
Previously, the target
had
would
put
be
all
much
her
easier to
attention on the
find.
family.
And did
Hongzhuang,
not
how
even
is
have
it?
any understanding
being
of the
looked at
situation
Bailey
of the
Hongzhuang
assessment.
anxiously.
How long
She
will
clenched
this
her
assessment
fist so
take?
tightly that her
Bewitching
knuckles had
looked
turned
up and
white.
asked,
But she
the
didn't
long-armed
care.
ape and
Now
the
their
imperial
biggest
wind
hope was
horse
placed on
elephant looked at each
Hongzhuang.
other and said,
If even Hongzhuang
about
couldn't
6
do
hours.
anything then.
Don't
Bewitching
worry,
stood up.
nothing will
The
happen.
two beasts were stunned.
Boss, what's wrong? It's boring to wait here. Let's go take a look at the Holy Spirit tree. The imperial wind horse elephant hesitated. But we still have to wait for them to finish. What if they don't see us after the competition? It's fine. The long-armed ape looked at the imperial wind horse elephant in disdain. Let's go together. We'll come back later. Bewitching looked at the two beasts and held Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. I'm talking about us. You two wait here for the results. Let us know when it's about time. The two beasts were stunned. Okay. Bailey Hongzhuang followed Bewitching towards the Holy Spirit tree. It was not until they were some distance away that they heard a voice from behind them. Boss, there's a limited number of fruits. You can't eat them secretly. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Bewitching, whose face had darkened a bit, and couldn't help but chuckle. If you take me to the sacred spirit tree now, it'll really make the demonic beast suspicious. Bewitching looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, who had a sly look on her face. We're not going there to look at the Holy Spirit fruit. Then why? We'll know when we get there.
there. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Beichen in confusion. She didn't know what this guy was thinking. In the distance, a towering tree attracted Bailey Hongzhuang's attention. It was an ancient tree that was over 10,000 years old. Its trunk was very thick and solid. At least, Bailey Hongzhuang had never seen such a thick trunk before. Its branches and leaves were so dense that they covered the entire sky. Not even the slightest bit of sunlight could penetrate through them. The entire tree seemed to exude a celestial aura, with specks of green light, as if there were countless fireflies surrounding it. The interesting thing was that this tree wasn't very tall. The golden fruits hanging on the tree were heavy, as if they would fall at any moment. What a beautiful tree! Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the tree in front of her in amazement. She had never thought that a tree could be so beautiful. It was like a divine tree that could only exist in a celestial realm. It emitted an endless amount of light, and a gentle aura emanated from it. It was as if the entire world had become gentle. Bewitching lowered his head to look at the pleasantly surprised girl next to him. The corners of his lips curled up slightly. He had already guessed that she would show this kind of expression when she saw this scene. Do you like it? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded happily. I like it. It's really beautiful here. This mystic realm was perhaps a celestial realm. Such a beautiful place didn't seem like an ordinary realm at all. Come, let's go take a look. Chapter 70-24. Here. Bailey Hongzhuang surveyed her surroundings in amazement. The ground beneath her feet was soft, and she felt as if she had been enveloped by a very gentle aura. Do you notice anything different? Bewitching raised his brows as he asked. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the man beside her and nodded. The aura here is very different, and the elemental energy in the air is also very rich. It's as if my mind has never been so clear before when I stay here. She had also experienced this feeling when she was climbing the mountain, but it couldn't be compared to the feeling she was experiencing now. This feeling was as if the entire world had suddenly become transparent, and the power of enlightenment had become very powerful. I want to cultivate here. Bailey Hongzhuang looked up. She felt that cultivating in this kind of environment would perhaps allow her to improve at a very fast rate. Bewitching smiled slightly. All right. You already knew about the effects of this place, right? Bailey Hongzhuang asked when she saw the man's unsurprised expression. Everyone only thinks that the Holy Spirit fruit is good. But after coming here once, I realized that cultivating here is also very effective. This mysterious power will continuously magnify your senses, and your mind will become clear. The reason why I was able to break through to the elementary immortal stage was inseparable from the help of this place. Bewitching spread out his hands. A cool breeze blew past, and the leaves rustled like the pleasant sound of wind chimes. This is really a magical place. Bailey Hongzhuang sat down on the ground, slowly closed her eyes, and began to cultivate. Bewitching lay down beside her, and looked at her familiar and beautiful features with a gentle expression. After cultivating, Bailey Hongzhuang understood that everything Bewitching had said was true. Cultivating in such an environment would indeed yield twice the results with half the effort. This was by far the fastest place to cultivate. Bailey Hongzhuang only came back to her senses when she heard the man's magnetic voice. It's almost time, we have to go first. All right. Bailey Hongzhuang stood up and looked at the tree beside her in surprise. She couldn't help but open her arms and hug the tree trunk. This is really a divine tree. Back then, when we were training, we also saw a tree, but that tree couldn't be compared to this one. That tree was a disguised divine tree. This tree is the real divine tree. Bewitching smiled and nodded. You're right. If all the Holy Spirit fruits are plucked, will there be any changes to the effects of cultivating here? I won't. That's great. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up and she asked curiously, if the effect of cultivating here is so good, why don't the other monster beasts cultivate here? Actually, for them, increasing their strength isn't the most important issue, Bewitching said slowly. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was stunned for a moment before she understood what he meant. Whether it was the monster beasts of the Holy Realm or the outside world, their daily lives were very easy. The food they ate could unconsciously increase their cultivation. Even if they didn't put in the effort to cultivate, as long as they lived for so many years, their cultivation would gradually reach this stage. So, Even if they knew, they wouldn't want to cultivate? That's one aspect. Bewitching smiled. Apart from that, only you and I can come here. The other monster beasts can't come here. Chapter 7025. When Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching returned, they saw the two beasts beaming with joy. Boss, it's great that you're back. How is it? They should be coming out soon. While they were talking, some beasts had already passed the test and came out. However, those beasts looked as if they had been bullied. Their image was completely ruined. Looks like this test wasn't easy. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the beasts that came out one by one. Their originally smooth and shiny fur was now covered in dust. Some were even bunched up. Where was their previous brilliance? When the fox came out, she noticed that there were a few holes in its clothes. It was bright red, but now it was almost dyed black. What kind of test is this? Bewitching looked at the girl beside him and smiled. Aren't you looking forward to seeing Lingfeng's appearance when he comes out? Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned. Then the smile on her face widened. I'm looking forward to it. Not long after, Yang Lingfeng's figure appeared in their line of sight. Oh my god, this test is too torturous. Yang Lingfeng tidied his hair. Luckily, he was with a group of beasts. If it was any other day, his image would be completely ruined. Haha. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but laugh. Yang Lingfeng's current image was no different from a beggar. Hearing this clear and bright laughter, Yang Lingfeng couldn't help but raise his head. He was speechless. Hongzhuang, do you have any sympathy? Qinxue took the test with you. Why does Qinxue look so much better than you? Yang Lingfeng looked behind him. Young Qinxue had just come out. Looking at her, he realized that she looked much better than him. Why is this? Yang Qinxue glanced at Yang Lingfeng. Who knows? You're suitable for this image. Sister, you're spouting nonsense. No matter what you say, I'm usually a distinguished and elegant man. Bewitching looked at the demonic beast at the side. Are the results out yet? Boss, the results are out. The long-armed demon ape hurriedly handed the results to Bewitching. After taking a look, Bewitching found Yang Lingfeng and Yang Qinshue's names. He handed the results back. We can now announce the results. The Imperial Wind Horse Elephant slowly announced the names one by one. Only when the names of Yang Lingfeng and Yang Qinxue were mentioned did the two of them let out a sigh of relief. How is it? We didn't embarrass ourselves, did we? Yang Lingfeng said happily. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly and didn't say anything. The results clearly showed that the two of them were behind in terms of results. But this guy acted as if he didn't see it and completely ignored this point. You're already at the bottom. Bewitching directly exposed the truth. Yang Lingfeng's expression froze, and he said, maybe my performance in the next two stages will be very good. I look forward to it. It's not that I want to say this, but the main thing is that these demonic beasts' brain circuits are not the same as ours. Yang Lingfeng's face was helpless. He had already tried his best. Maybe you guys can really pass the test. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. As long as you can pass every round, then you can get the Holy Spirit fruit. Chapter 7026. The next two tests were carried out one after another. The demon beasts of the Holy World had already arranged everything in an orderly manner. As such, Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching did not need to waste any effort. The two of them only needed to return for a short, while after the first test ended. However, the next two tests seemed to be more troublesome. One of them actually lasted for 3 days. After discovering the magic of the Holy Spirit tree, Bailey Hongzhuang had already decided to stay here. For a few days, she stayed under the tree and cultivated quietly. Bewitching took the opportunity to return to the upper realm. After confirming that there were no problems, he returned. When Bailey Hongzhuang opened her eyes, she found Bewitching waiting for her. She immediately asked in surprise, "You're not cultivating? I want to see when you'll talk to me." Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. "When did I talk to you? Sigh. At least I'm in front of a handsome man. My charm can't compare to cultivation." Bewitching pretended to be sad. Bailey Hongzhuang was amused. "That's why I can only cultivate with my eyes closed. Otherwise, I won't be able to think about cultivation all day long when I'm with you. It seems like you miss me. Bewitching raised his eyebrows. Noticing the man's gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang hurriedly stretched out her hand. Stop, stop. Have you gone back and checked? Everything is fine. The smile in Bewitching's eyes gradually deepened. That's good. Bailey Hongzhuang finally relaxed. After a while, her gaze became more serious. Bewitching, I've been staying under this tree for the past few days. I feel like my head has become much clearer. I can think more clearly than usual. What do you think? I think it's very likely that Xiao Suo hasn't contacted the Qing devil yet. The reason why she has the poison from the chaotic immortal realm might be because she went to the crossing immortal realm. Bailey Hongzhuang thought for a while and said, her master is Shu Yu. He's the person who went to the crossing immortal realm and came back. If he taught this method to Xiao Suo, then Xiao Suo might be able to do it. After saying all this, she looked at Bewitching expectantly. She did not know if he would agree with her. Bye. So much time. So you've thought about it so long ago. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed. Why didn't you say so? With your intelligence, it's only a matter of time. Well, if that's the case, I think we should consider going to the crossing immortal realm. With the strength of my parents, it's only a matter of time before they break through to the brilliant sun realm. By then they might appear in the crossing immortal realm. If Xiao Suo is there, then we... Bailey Hongzhuang did not say anything, but everything was obvious. Bewitching nodded slightly. Yes, we have to hurry to the crossing immortal realm. So you have to speed up. Me. The crossing immortal realm is not friendly to brilliant sun realm cultivators. If we go there as immortal realm cultivators, the situation will be much easier, Bewitching said in a deep voice. Chapter 7027. This was one of the main reasons why they did not go to the crossing immortal domain. If they went to the crossing immortal domain as a radiant sun cultivator, they would become free laborers. Not only would they be exploited, but they might even lose their lives if they were not careful. It was just like when they were captured to mine. Once they broke through to the elementary celestial stage, there would be much less resistance when they went to the crossing immortal domain. They would also be able to protect themselves. Once they understood the situation in the crossing immortal domain, their clan's cultivators would have more options. However, although she could feel the barrier to breaking through, she would still need to put in a lot of effort to break through. I'll do my best. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes darkened. She felt the pressure on her shoulders increase. Don't feel too much pressure. You're already very fast. Bewitching hugged Bailey Hongzhuang from behind. Even if you can't open the land of inheritance, you're doing well now. Is that so? Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but recall what had happened at the Enlightenment tablet. Those words. What did it mean? It was a familiar voice, but she could not remember where she had heard it before. She did not want to find out if it was right or wrong. Wife, what are you thinking about? Bewitching could not help but remind Bailey Hongzhuang when he saw that she had suddenly fallen into deep thought. Bailey Hongzhuang snapped back to her senses. She smiled and shook her head. Nothing. Cultivation is also a gradual process, so you don't have to be too anxious. If it's really too late, you can stay in the chaos ring. We can go together. Bailey Hongzhuang heaved a sigh of relief. Indeed, they still had the chaos ring. Now that you've broken through to the elementary celestial stage, everything is much more convenient. Finally, the competition came to an end. The result was rather unexpected. Yang Lingfeng had successfully passed the test, but Yang Qinxue had failed. This made Yang Lingfeng very happy. He had been talking about this all day. Sis, now you know the difference between us, right? Yang Lingfeng said proudly. I'm the real genius, haha. Yang Qinxue looked at him speechlessly. She really didn't want to admit that this guy was her younger brother, but she couldn't help but reveal a happy expression. Bewitching, will you really give me one of these Holy Spirit fruits? After the pleasant surprise, Yang Lingfeng started to worry again. This fruit was so precious, and he wasn't a beast. Since you've passed the test, it's naturally yours. One by one, the Holy Spirit fruits were plucked. Fox and the others also obtained a Holy Spirit fruit. Holding the Holy Spirit fruit, Yang Lingfeng and the fox were overjoyed. The fox was even more reluctant to eat it, so it directly put the Holy Spirit fruit into its Qingquan bag. As for Yang Lingfeng, after some thought, he decided to split the Holy Spirit fruit into two, and gave one of them to Yang Qinxue. "This is for you." Yang Qinxue stared in astonishment at the half-eaten Holy Spirit fruit in front of her. The rich fragrance wafted into her nostrils through the air. Just a whiff of it made her feel relaxed all over. "For me? No need to thank me." Yang Lingfeng patted her shoulder. "If you really feel bad about it, you can call me Big Brother. I can accept that. You'd better die." Chapter 7028. After consuming half of the Holy Spirit fruit, Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng began their closed-door cultivation. The other demonic beasts would have the opportunity to cultivate in the holy world for another 3 months after receiving their share of the Holy Spirit fruits. Apart from that, the other demonic beasts would have to leave first. Among the fox, lion, and roc, only the fox received the Holy Spirit fruit, but the lion and roc were not envious. They would be able to stay in the Holy Realm from now on. The monsters to the south of the river congratulated them. Every time the gates to the Holy Realm opened, only a few monsters would be able to stay. Any monster that succeeded would become the envy of all the other monsters. This time, all 3 of them were able to stay. Everyone knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was the reason. The fox and the others are really lucky. They'll be able to stay here from now on. There's nothing we can do about it. We're not that lucky, but this is good too. Who knows? Maybe the next time we take the test, the fox and the others will help us out. Only the monsters to the north of the river looked like frosted eggplants. They had completely lost this time. Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching cultivated under the Holy Spirit tree all day long. Their cultivation speed was undoubtedly the fastest here. However, the 2 of them also kept an eye on the situation of their clans. Xiao He and Xiao Bai busied themselves in 2 places, responsible for delivering news. In the blink of an eye, a year flew by. Under the Rainbow Bridge, Yang Lingfeng leaned against a willow tree with his arms crossed in front of his chest. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Hongzhuang is still in seclusion?" Bewitching nodded. "No way." Yang Lingfeng's face fell. "She's been in seclusion for almost the entire year. Is this the charm of cultivation? Why can't I feel it? Hongzhuang is trying to break through to the elementary immortal stage. It's rare for her to have such a good environment to cultivate in. So of course she has to try her best." Yang Qinxue said, "Don't you know how many years it took you to break through to the elementary immortal stage? In any case, I've made a breakthrough now." Yang Lingfeng chuckled. "Sis, you have to work hard." Yang Qinxue looked at Yang Lingfeng with disdain. Ever since this guy broke through half a year ago, he had been very smug. Unfortunately, she couldn't break through for the time being, so she could only endure it. Yang Lingfeng walked to Bewitching's side and put an arm around his shoulder, saying, "Beichen, if you ask me, cultivation isn't something that can be accomplished overnight. Although the environment here was not bad, and the speed of cultivation was also very fast, the threshold of the elementary celestial stage was very difficult to break through. No matter how talented a cultivator was, it was impossible for them to break through so quickly. Rather than letting Hongzhuang suffer like this, he might as well spend more time with her. Life can't be all about cultivation. The way I see it, it's impossible to break through the elementary immortal stage without a few decades." Yang Lingfeng turned his head and looked behind him. "Big sis, don't you think so?" Yang Qinxue thought about it and nodded. That's true. Whether it was her or Lingfeng, both of them had been stuck in the elementary immortal stage for a few decades. Beichen's situation was definitely unique. Boom! The aura of a breakthrough came from afar. Rich origin energy condensed in the sky, condensing into a solid form like clouds. As someone who had broken through before, Yang Lingfeng only needed a glance to know that this was a situation that would only occur when one broke through to the elementary immortal stage.
Chapter 7029. But the demonic beasts I saw were all at the elementary immortal stage and above. Yang Qinxue frowned. Over the past year, she had become more familiar with the demonic beasts of the holy world. Almost none of the demonic beasts here were below the elementary immortal stage, and her cultivation level was at the bottom of the pack. Because of this, she sighed for a long time. Bewitching looked at the cloud of origin energy in the distance and smiled. Hong Zhuang is about to break through. So it's Hong Zhuang, Yang Lingfeng said subconsciously. In the next second, his expression suddenly froze. Then he opened his mouth wide in shock. What did you say? Who's breaking through? Is that where Hong Zhuang is? Yang Qinshua's expression was not much better than Yang Lingfeng's. Bewitching nodded, and the smile on his face became even more dazzling. I knew she would do it. Yang Lingfeng. This is too freaking crazy. Yang Qinxue. Can't you give me a way out? The three of them did not continue to stay where they were. Instead, they walked in the direction of the Holy Spirit tree. This is too inconceivable. I have to follow them and see if it's true, Yang Lingfeng said with a complicated expression. He was certain that Hong Zhuang's cultivation level had been stuck at the Radiant Sun stage for at most 2 to 3 years. Beichen's breakthrough was one thing. After all, he had inherited the inheritance from the Enlightenment Monument. But if Hong Zhuang had also broken through, even with the help of the Holy Spirit fruit, it would be too heaven-defying. After reaching a certain distance from the Holy Spirit tree, the three of them stopped. This was because only Beichen could enter. Neither Yang Lingfeng nor Yang Lingfeng could enter. Beichen did not want to disturb Hong Zhuang at a time like this. In any case, breaking through under the Holy Spirit tree was undoubtedly very safe. They only needed to wait outside for the results. This is too crazy. Yang Lingfeng sat on the ground in defeat. When he confirmed that they were here, he already knew the result. Let's see what you have to be proud of now. Yang Qinxue shook her head. Their little complacency was nothing in front of Beichen. Sigh, I can't be compared to a pervert. Yang Lingfeng glanced at Beichen. These two guys couldn't be judged by common sense. In the past, he had never believed that there were geniuses in this world that ordinary people could not compare with, because most of the cultivators who could cultivate to this level were geniuses. However, all of this had been dispelled after meeting Beichen and Hong Zhuang. He believed that there were geniuses in this world that were beyond the reach of ordinary people. You might have cultivated for several decades, but you might not even be able to match up to him in a few years. It was not until the next day that Bailey Hongzhuang opened her eyes. The smile in her eyes deepened as she looked up at the lush green divine tree that was exuding boundless vitality. After so long, I've finally broken through. Feeling the rich elemental energy in her body, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved upwards continuously. This kind of powerful feeling was unprecedented. She had clearly only broken through by one level, but she felt as if her strength had increased by many times. Whether it was the density of her elemental energy or the quality of her body, they had all increased by many times. No wonder the cultivators from the immortal region feel so superior. The difference between one level is simply too great. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed. It was indeed very difficult for the cultivators from the realm of chaos to defeat the cultivators from the immortal region. The difference in strength was simply too great. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.